the channel. My name is Hayden, and today I'm here to tell you my thoughts on the newest MacBook Pro 2020. Now, if you don't know, yesterday Apple released their newest MacBook Pro. The last update they had was in 2018, so they went about another whole year, since 2019, they did not release a new MacBook Pro, so the newest MacBook Pro is actually pretty good from my thoughts. Now, the base price is $12.99, and that is with a touch bar. They used to have only certain models that did not have the touch bar. Now, the touch bar is a little screen that helps you instead of just actual keys at the top, which I think is pretty cool, and I never thought they would really come up with. Now, for a base price of $12.99, you can have like an i5, Core i5 processor, 8GB of RAM, and 256GB hard drive space. So now that's what I have on my current MacBook, but as you continue to spec it up a little more and more, depending on your processor, RAM, and storage, that price tends to get a little bit higher. But what the good thing is, Apple actually killed their butterfly keyboard. Now, the butterfly keyboard was not a huge fan. Not many people were a huge fan of it because it was very skinny keys, and the click was just not that great. It felt like there was nothing there. Now, I kind of like that design, but at the same time, the old design used to be a lot better. Now, that's what Apple did. They went back to their signature original design, and it is a lot better keys on a newer MacBook. So, I never actually had a MacBook before mine now currently, so apparently those keys are a lot better, and people were huge fans of them, especially in about 2011 and 2012. So. Now, you can also spec it out to have Final Cut Pro 10 or Logic Pro 10. Now, they've been doing this for years now. I don't really need any of that software, but then again, I will not be upgrading to the newest MacBook because there's not really a huge difference, especially when it's only really a difference between the keys and a little bit of processing power. Now, what's interesting is it actually has a physical escape key. Now, on my MacBook, the escape key is part of the touch bar, and it never leaves its space. Now, I'm not sure why they brought that back. I really didn't mind it on the touch bar, but then again, what can you do? Now, it comes with faster Touch ID. My MacBook has Touch ID, but what I really thought would happen was Face ID. Now, they have Face ID in their newest iPhone, but when something comes to the iPhone, it tends to come to all products, even the iPad. Now, they didn't include Face ID in the MacBook Pro, which I was kind of like, how come they didn't do that? Like, I was kind of wondering why they didn't do that, because it's kind of weird if you have it on your iPhone, but you upgrade the MacBook in 2020 and you're still on Touch ID from the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 5. So that was just kind of crazy to me, but now they announced you can get a lot better specs, but you have to upgrade to the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Now with that one, you get 64GB of RAM. That is the max amount of gigabytes of RAM. I believe you can do 8, 16, 32, or 64. Now for me, I would not need that in a laptop unless I was doing a lot of productivity work and a lot of hard work. Now, it also comes with about up to 8 terabytes of hard drive space. Now, I would not need 8 terabytes of hard drive space. I would need at least probably 1, but I think 8 is a little overkill. But if you're a person that doesn't want to get external hard drives and you want a full hard drive on your laptop, then that amount of space is for you. They also have, I believe, 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte, and probably 512 gigabytes. I believe that's the amount of space you can get. So you can really pick depending which one fits for you. Now, I believe it comes in silver and space gray. They've been doing this for years. Now, I've always been a space gray person, so I think it looks really nice. And every year they update the wallpaper. So I have the wallpaper behind me. I don't know if you can barely see it, but I think it looks pretty good. I know the wallpaper doesn't all that matter that much because you can just change it anyways in the settings. Now, Apple is claiming that this MacBook is a powerhouse in a laptop. I can definitely see that if you were to go to the 16-inch MacBook, but not so much of the 13-inch MacBook. It's really your preference and what works better for you. Now, as I said before, I will not be upgrading. I really have no use to. Instead, I would really like that keyboard, but I really don't want to upgrade. Now, what I wish it had was Face ID, because we've had Face ID for a couple years now, especially with the iPhone 10. Now, I'm surprised they didn't bring it to the MacBook or even the Mac this year. So we'll have to see what happens Mac-wise, but MacBook Pro-wise, or any MacBook right now, we have no Face ID. Now, what I really miss was having the ports on the side of the MacBook. Now instead of the ports, they have just 4 USB-C ports. Now I can see that if you want to charge it from different angles, but at the same time, I wish they bumped the thickness up a little bit of the MacBook and added the ports back, because ever since this started, nobody really has been a huge fan of just 4 USB-C ports and no other ports. Now, you have to live the dongle life. Now, I know it's a funny word, but I don't mind it, but at the same time, you have to buy a separate dongle just to have your ports, when Apple could originally just put all the ports on there for your own need. But a dongle runs you about $30. Now, there's pros, cons, but at the same time, it would just be better if we could just plug something in to charge directly into our MacBook. But otherwise, yeah, so you can check out the new MacBook on Apple's website. I believe they are doing orders right now. I don't think it's a pre-order product, but otherwise, that's been it. Those are my thoughts. And leave a comment down below and subscribe to my channel. Also, like this video. That also helps me a lot. So I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.